Warning, loss in a game will make you a better Fallout player and in so more attractive to the opposite sex. Loss in a game will not be responsible for injuries, damage, or the baby making that will follow. Hello everyone, thank you so much for stopping by. I really do appreciate it. Welcome to another episode of Lost in a Game, where I teach you the things that I've learned to help you find what you're looking for. In today's episode, what I want to go over with you is a bunch of stuff on charisma. I want to school you guys on how charisma works and how much it actually affects you when you're going out there and buying and selling stuff in the wasteland. Now, I'm not actually going to go through the speech parts of it. I will make another video if you guys are curious about how the speech challenges work, but really in this video I'm going to just focus on the caps and how much charisma actually affects how much you can buy and sell stuff for, because I do a lot of that in Fallout 4, buying and selling stuff back and forth. So for me, I need to make sure that I'm taking advantage of everything I possibly can. Quick disclosure though, I am at Charisma level 6, and I have Cap Collector 2, and I believe one of the Jerky magazines, so that's going to affect my Charisma a little bit as well. For the most part though, you're never going to set your Charisma at level 1. I mean, when you first start the game, you're probably going to start at like 4. At Charisma 6, and we're going to have our Cap Collector 2, and we're going to use these as our base data. So if your data at Charisma 6 fluctuates a little bit from my data, it's just simply because you most likely don't have either Cap Collector 2 or you haven't found just as many of those magazines that I've found. We have to do two different charts because we have our standard vendor, which is going to be like our trash can Carlo walking around, or our vendors in Diamond City. They're all going to have the same formula or percentage of value, really, that they're going to go ahead and apply to their prices. Now, the one thing about buying and selling in Fallout 4 is it's all based off your charisma level. Now, there are those couple perks which I mentioned earlier, the Cap Collector perks, that are going to go ahead and help you out buying and selling, so definitely make sure that you guys go ahead and get those. Also, there is one vendor, which is the Abernathy Farms vendor, Connie Abernathy. She's going to go ahead and give you a bonus if you can find the locket of her dead child. So make sure you guys do get that. I got that very early in the game, so that does not affect me at all. Well, first, let's look at our chart here and let's kind of break it down and so I can show you guys what we got. Now, obviously, over on the left-hand side, we have our charisma right here. Okay, so starting off at 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13 is what I found my cap at for buying and selling at a standard vendor. My cap is 13. So no matter if I had a 14 charisma, 15 charisma, or what have you, it's still gonna reach that same amount of 20% over and 20% under. So I cannot buy anything for any less than 20% over, and I cannot sell anything for any more than 20% below. So basically, if I have something that's worth 100 caps, I can sell it to them, or I can buy it to them for the minimum price of 120 caps, and that I can sell it back to them for the minimum, or the maximum, I'm sorry, and I can sell it back to them for the maximum of 80 caps. So that is just the standard in the game. Now, based on how your charisma is going to affect what percentage that you buy and sell. So we have our items over here. Our items, I chose to do 3 different items. I did water, pistol, and a shotgun. I took just purified water here because I figured it would be a pretty standard thing to go with. And then we have our pistol. Okay, I took a pistol and I went ahead and modded it out completely. And then we have our shotgun here. Again, I took a combat shotgun and went ahead and modded it out quite a bit. So we have our base value here. This is going to be the same all the way down, and on our next chart is going to be the same. So water has a value of 20, our pistol has a value of 189, and our shotgun has a value of 339. Okay. So, if I was to buy it from a vendor, I can get it for $35, the water. Okay? And if I was to sell it to them, I can get it for 10. So, my buy minus my value is 15. So, I am selling it for, or I'm sorry, I am buying it for 15 caps more than it's worth. So, that's what this whole column is here. This is telling me how much I am purchasing it for and how much that is actually over my value. So this is what this thing's actually worth. Okay? We have our buy here, we have our buy minus value, and then we have our sell minus value. So this is how much below the value I am selling this to them. So if I was to sell a thing of water, which is valued at 20, to them for 10 caps, because they're cheap bastards, I only get I am selling it to them for 10 caps below what it's actually worth. So that's what this whole column is here. All right, based off of what charisma we have over in here, this is what our chart is over on this side. Then we have our buy percent above value. So this is telling me what percentage above the value I am buying it at. So right here we could see 75%. So if I'm to buy this water at 35, the cost of 35, with because my charisma is only 6, I am buying it for 75% more than it's actually worth. And then over here we have our negative 50%. So if I was to sell it to them, I am selling it to them for 50% or half of what it's worth. Then we have our buy percentage value. Our buy percentage value is basically this number added 100%. So this is our percentage of value. So how much I buy it from them, I am buying it for 175% of its worth. Is basically what this is. So the sales percentage of value, this one's going to show me what percentage of the value I'm actually selling it at. So right here I'm selling it at 50% of the value, and here I'm selling it at 80% of the value. So our max is going to be 80%, and our buy is going to be 120% of the value. So basically I can sell it, or I can buy it for 20% more than it's worth, and I can sell it for 20% less than it's worth. So like I said, those are going to be our bottom markers. So this is our standard vendor here. Okay, now I did go ahead and make a couple of charts here that are going to go ahead and show that, so you can see the trend here. At 6 charisma, we are buying stuff at 80 or a little almost 80% above the value mark here, about 75 right here. Okay, and then we kind of even out here, then we drop down to about right here, which were our 65% mark is at 7, and then down again at 55 and 45 and 35, 25 and 20. Okay, to our bottom there. So basically we're fluctuating about 10%, it seems like, for every one level of charisma we go down about 10%. Our sell percent below value is not going to quite follow that nice neat stair-stepper line. For whatever reason, the sell is not right in that same zone. But it does go ahead and give us some nice data here, so we're getting closer to our value sell rate as we move up this way, and we're getting farther, or we're getting closer to our value that we're buying it at as we move down this way. Okay, so this is our percentage above value. This is our percentage below value that we're selling it to. All right. So as we move our way up here, we get closer and closer until we get to 20% right here. All right, so then we have our Abernathy farm, which I went ahead and made another whole chart for the Abernathy farm itself. Same thing over here. I'm not going to go through all of the details with the chart itself, but we have charisma here, items, value, buy, sell, same exact shit. All right, this is just different data points that we went ahead and put into this chart to go ahead and make it more sense. And where this is going to hit hard is right about here. Okay, with our buy and our sell at our standard vendor, we're going to be around 12 is going to be our max buy, okay, and about 13 is going to be our max sell. And then once we move over to our vendor Abernathy farm, we have our max buy is right around 8 charisma, and our max sell is right around 10 charisma. So if I have 8 charisma, I can buy stuff from Connie at Abernathy Farm for the same stuff as if I had a charisma of 11, or I'm sorry, if I had a charisma of 12 at any other vendor. So if you guys do want to buy anything now, noted, she doesn't really have anything. Okay, so you can't really take advantage of it quite as much as you'd want to. She does have some caps, so if you are trying to take advantage of that as far as the selling part goes, she usually has about 300 or 400 caps on her, maybe a little bit more. She will have some stuff on her, but to be honest with you, the whole Abernathy farm thing, taking advantage of that, as nice as it is, you know, it's at very, very minute, very, very small amounts because she doesn't have very many caps, and she doesn't sell very much. She doesn't have nice weapons. She doesn't have good aid. She doesn't really do anything. She just kind of has like some random shit. She's like, I'll give you a really good price on this spoon that I've had for a while. You know, it's just really, I don't know. Maybe if you built up the settle, what I could see is if you built up the settlement quite a bit and then assigned her to, ooh, that's actually pretty smart. I wonder if that works. I'm going to have to try that out. Build a settlement and then assign her to a shop. I wonder if you still get that discount. I have to look into that. Anyway, so there's that chart there. Then we have the Abernathy. Abernathy. And we have the Abernathy farm vendor chart here. Like I said, it's going to resemble the chart from over there, but we have our buy percentage above value, which, like I said, we hit about 8. So not such a big difference in our numbers here. Most of this is just to fill out, but I did go ahead and make another chart, or a graph, I'm sorry, for the data of the percentage above value that we're buying it at and the percentage below value that we're selling it at, and this is what those charts actually look like. You know, we could see it bumps up a little bit here for whatever reason, but then it just drops down and then it hits pretty fast at 8 charisma. It hits that just mellow out point all the way through here. Okay, same thing with our sell percentage. We bump up, we hit this little thing here, a little bit of skewed data. We get a nice little stair stepper effect going on here, and then we hit 10 charisma, and then we just go ahead and flatline. All right, so those are those stats there. Now I did go ahead and make a couple of charts here. Shout out to Crygirl, by the way. She did help me out quite a bit with making these charts and doing this Excel. That's why this video actually took so long, because I never actually used Excel before this video, but now we will have Excel and be able to use it quite a bit more for all of our stats into the future, which I will be doing, so that way you guys can look up and see where we're at. Now, one thing that I'm going to go ahead and say really quickly, I am working on a way to go ahead and post this online so you guys can simply just put in whatever you want. It will figure out a formula for you. Basically, if you have something of a value of 10 or 20, you can put it in there and you can say, okay, this is what it's going to be worth, and this is what I can buy that thing for if I was to find it at a vendor. One thing I do want to let you know really quickly, though, is even just based on, you know, if you're to look at this chart here, you can figure out pretty quickly what your percentage of something is going to be buy or sell based off of this chart here. Okay, so if you look at this chart and you say, okay, it's 75% above value is what I bought this at. Now, all of these are pretty much the same, so it doesn't really matter what your price is. I mean, I bought something, or I have a value of 20. I have something that's a value of 20, I have something a value of 189, I have something a value of 339, and they're all going to buy for about the same percentage above the value. So you really don't have much fluctuation in that, so you could literally take something, whatever you have in the wasteland, and apply this as long as you have the same stats that I do, with 6 charisma with the, you know, the cap collector of 2. I mean, really, to be honest with you, this might fluctuate just a tiny bit, maybe 10% if you didn't have, you know, cap collector 2 and you only had cap collector 1. I believe cap collector 1 is about about 1 point of charisma. Cap collector 2 is about 1 point of charisma. Because the cap for charisma of where the buy, where we're seeing our buy cap is, or I'm sorry, our sell cap is a 13%, charisma of 13. Okay, if you don't have your charisma or your cap collector up, I believe it's about 16 is the cap. Because I've done this data before. I've actually experimented with this when I first got the game, and I believe it was about 16 is where I was at. A huge thank you to you guys. Thank you so much for sharing and liking the last videos. I really do appreciate it. We hit our goal of 400 subscribers, and so I will be doing the giveaway here pretty soon. I'll be making a video in which I do the random number generator and basically set you guys up and tell you who won. So make sure you guys hit that like button, subscribe if you want to see more videos. If you guys have any thoughts on the data or want to know, have any questions, make sure you guys hit me up in the comment section below. If you guys want to hit me up on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, what have you, outside of YouTube, feel free. All that information's in the description. Yeah, have a good one, y'all, and peace!